Welcome to Tapping Vegas, brought to you by Better and Green. Today we're breaking down UFC Fight Night, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. I'm going to give a quick thank you to our friends over at DraftKings. With just a $5 deposit, you guys can get $200 in free bets by using the link in our description or using code BetterGreen. Bobby, last week, man, almost went up 10 units, sniffed out 3 dogs, and doubled our money in DFS. Just absolutely decimated that card. Give us a quick rundown, and then we'll get into these 5 fights to win the people some money, man.
Yeah, both of us hit pretty big going with JDM money line. Valentina money line was another one, and we both also hit on the controversial Zahabi decision. So,
Yes.
yeah, BSD was not very much of a dog, but we were also correct about BSD. The only thing that went sideways was Alexa Grasso. But hey, I'm more than happy to be right about 4 out of 5 after a little bit of a skid that we were experiencing. Your boys are back in the green.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I believe we went 1-1 on the haymakers also, so getting people even more money to get paid out. Bobby, let's get into this first fight, man. Take it away.
Thiago Moises versus Jared Gordon. This fight, I feel like this is one of the hardest ones to get a read on. I want to preface by saying that, don't get me wrong, every fight that we're going to be covering is very difficult from a betting standpoint. This is a tough card. So hopefully we don't lose everything we gained last week. Hopefully you don't either. But yeah, do not think this card's a pushover. It's not very great on paper, but this is a pain to try to bet on. And this fight is definitely one of the tougher ones. The notes I have here about Jared Gordon, things I like about Jared Gordon, very strong in the clinch. This is a guy who had no fear clinching up with Mark Madsen, who was a freestyle wrestling champ for Denmark in the Olympics. I believe he was a silver or gold medalist. And man, Jared Gordon just really clinched up with him and actually got the knockout from clinch. Just I believe it was an overhand right over the top and just folded Mark Madsen. So very impressive to just clinch up with a guy who that's what freestyle wrestling's all about, man. Just, flipping you on your head once you tangle up with him and everything. And dude just had no fear and just wilted him. Very good body shots, mixes it up well with the headshots, good combinations. Paddy Pimblett's a very good grappler in his own right. I think a lot of people forget that Paddy Pimblett primarily was known as a grappler over in Cage Warriors and a BJJ guy. And, his orange shorts are kind of inspired by Sakuraba, I believe. So, the Gracie Hunter, come on. What more do I have to say? Good use of the Whizzer against Paddy to end up on top at one point. A lot of people, myself included, I'd have to rewatch it in its entirety. But I kind of think he edged out Paddy in that fight. A lot of other people also think it was a very controversial decision, and he was just able to pretty much neutralize Paddy's grappling. And I definitely think that's going to come into play here because Moises, my main things with him, he's definitely going to be looking to try to grapple, right? Like he thrives in situations where he can try to get you to play around in his guard, get a little too comfortable, snatch up a sub, like snatch up a guillotine, things of that nature. So that's the biggest thing that gives me a little bit of concern is as impressed as I was by Jared Gordon in the clinch, as impressed as I was with his work to mitigate what Paddy was trying to do in terms of taking him down, trying to get subs and whatnot by his use of the Whizzer and everything, and just kind of using that to get on top and kind of get reversals. I would like to see him keep this fight standing. I think that's his best avenue to victory is if he tries to strike. He's definitely the better striker than Moises. One other X factor I have is noticing the Michael Johnson fight that Thiago Moises had. I kind of get the gut feeling if he tries to do like a 50-50 position, like a Ryan Hall leg entry like he did against Johnson, I kind of think Gordon can roll through that, come on top, and actually get a ground and pound finish from top if he tries that. I think Gordon's a little bit too crafty to get caught up in that like Michael Johnson was. Michael Johnson, one of his many Achilles heels that he possessed was a weakness to grappling, weakness to BJJ. I'm pretty impressed by what I've seen, as I mentioned, by Jared Gordon's grappling acumen. I'm in a group chat with him on Twitter. I got to go with Jared Gordon with this. I think he's going to be able to keep it standing. I think he's going to defend the takedowns. If he does get taken down, he's going to scramble. He's going to end up on top. He's going to disengage, get up. And I think he's going to get a pretty good decision out of this. And Pretty fair odds because this is definitely a hard fight to get a read on. So Moises plus 105, Gordon's minus 125. That's how DraftKings has it. Shout out to DraftKings. You got 32% of bets are on Gordon, 68% on Moises. Yeah, I see why people are doing it, right? I get it, but this is very public, and I get Vegas isn't going to lose much if they do have to pay out that plus 105. I like Gordon here. I'm rolling with Gordon for all the reasons I described. I think he keeps it standing. I think he gets a decision. Decision's only plus 110. That's not tantalizing enough. I don't feel confident enough in him getting the KO, TKO, or the sub. Even though I do like his hand speed, I do like his power. He was definitely chinning Patty with some pretty strong shots. If he wasn't a scouser, I think he would have been out. But I just like Gordon at the minus 125. What are your thoughts?
Hand on the Bible, other hand up. You promise you're not just picking Gordon because you're in a group chat with him and you're afraid he's going to come knock on your door in the middle of the night?
Hey, man, pop outside like he's got a set of keys.
He's going to sneak up on you with night vision, catch you doing jiu-jitsu.
Yes. My pride in the state.
Yeah. You know, Bobby, I believe you're telling the truth because I'm on Gordon here with you. I don't have a lot more to add than, watching these two, some of their more recent fights against, I would say, more quality competition. He fought, was it Nasrat? Yeah, Nasrat Hapkarast. So Gordon looks really good. And he had some moments where he looked really good. Hold him up against the cage. Moises looked very hesitant against Ludovic Klein. And, he was not one to press the pace. He was one Klein to come towards him. I think if he lets Gordon be the hammer and he chooses to be the nail, this might be a long night for him. And I'm right there with you. I think I like Gordon on the money line. I don't want to take any type of method here. Interesting fact, too. I always try to give you guys the Vegas side because Bobby knows so much of the MMA. I try to give you more of the math here. 32% of money on Gordon. Bobby, 60% of the money. Got a lot of sharp money coming in on Gordon. So there's a lot of people there with us that are saying, you know what? I get it. Gordon's older. He's got less of a reach. But this is just one of those matchups where it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to take Gordon, the older guy, at the minus money and just make out happy with it, the minus 125.
Yeah, Gordon's definitely underrated. I just think people constantly count him out. And don't get me wrong, Moises is a very dangerous submission threat. And if he does get the win, I definitely think it's going to be by sub. But I think Gordon's pretty crafty, and he definitely is smart. And he knows that's the path to victory, so he's going to try to negate that. Absolutely.
Hey, let's get into a fight that we might disagree on. That's going to be Mr. Julian Erosa versus Melquizael. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Costa.
Yep.
Man. This is another hard one. Like we were saying, these fights are really hard to tell. I think I have to go with the old guy again here. Go with the old dog. I like Erosa's grappling jiu-jitsu, and what I saw of Costa, I forget what, man, I need to write these guys' names down so I remember when we're on here. But one of the Chinese guys he was fighting, I believe some Asian country, before. No, actually, I think it might have been Cage Warriors that they were fighting. But Costa kept getting taken down and handled. And I think if this fight goes to the ground, I think Erosa is probably going to get a submission on him. Just at these odds, I feel like I'd rather go with the guy that has more experience that I feel better on. Costa, I don't feel like does anything good enough to make me want to be putting my money on him. Looking at the splits right now, 20% of bets is on Erosa, 17% of the money. So I like this from the Vegas standpoint. You're not on the public side. Vegas is just fine paying out 17% of the money at plus 150. I'd rather take the chance with Erosa and hoping, he lets those hands fly and maybe gets a submission somewhere in there. But I believe you probably are on the other side, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be with Costa. I don't fault anybody. Once again, dangerous card for betting, so be warned. Yes. I like both guys. Julian Erosa, I've been a fan of ever since he was on, not the Contender Series, Ultimate Fighter. Ultimate Fighter, he was coached by Uriah Faber, going up against Team Conor McGregor back in 2015, one of my favorite seasons of the Ultimate Fighter. And Erosa was good, man, and he still is good now. He's always been a very scrappy guy, another perennially underrated guy, just like Gordon, just like Costa himself, Here's the notes I have, though. Here's why I'm in on Costa. So watching the tape, Erosa struggles with southpaws. That was immediately apparent to me. Artem Lobov finished him. Artem Lobov's a southpaw. Alex Caceres finished him. Caceres is a southpaw. Julio Arce finished him. He's a southpaw. Grant Dawson took him to decision. He's a southpaw. So it's starting to become statistically significant now.
Yep.
Now, to further add to that equation, Julio Arce and Alex Caceres both finished him with left leg high kicks. Like he just never saw it coming. They just had him backed up, and then they both finished him with a left leg high kick. He didn't even reach up to try to defend. So that's very, very concerning that he still has not really addressed that. I don't feel like he's still something about that left side. Maybe it's because, and we've talked about this before, right? Like, does southpaw versus orthodox matter?
Right.
Long story short, without digressing, it depends. In this case, for whatever reason, with Julian Erosa, who's normally orthodox, for whatever reason, he can't get over that orthodox versus southpaw open side matchup, and he just never sees that left kick coming. And Caceres actually executed it beautifully, because he did the southpaw double attack where he jabbed, and then before he fully retracted the jab back, he came up with that same side over the top with the left leg and then knocked him out. And he just never saw it because he was still focused on the jab retracting. So, who really likes that left leg high kick, who is also a southpaw? Costa. Melquizael Costa throws that left leg high kick quite a bit. It is a favorite weapon of his, and he predominantly fights from a southpaw stance. So that's very concerning. Costa's going to need to scramble like he did against Rodriguez and not let Erosa lock up that Darce. Erosa has a very dangerous Darce. I think if this is a striking match, Costa takes it because of that southpaw versus orthodox, and Erosa struggles there. If it starts to get into a grappling exchange, I'm so concerned because Erosa is nasty with that Darce. Maybe, though, if Erosa shoots, maybe Costa could get a sub like he did over Andre Feely. And you were talking about the Asian guy, and you thought it was Cage Warriors. Maybe you were thinking Shailon Nursulton, that guy?
Yes, that's him. Yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. So he actually got the rear naked late in round 3 over him because he shot a sloppy takedown. So, Costa definitely, I'm concerned about his grappling, but he makes sloppy takedowns. He punishes those. So
he does.
I have a little bit of faith that if Erosa is careless and he starts to get wobbled and maybe he wants to lock up that Darce, that he could get reversed and at least, ride out some control time. So definitely concerned, but there are some things that we've seen from Costa to be happy about. Like Feely had never been sub before, to my knowledge, until then. That was his first sub loss. And Nursulton, definitely just got careless. So all those things considered, that's why I'm rolling with Costa. I think he's got that southpaw advantage. I think if it does get to the grappling, he can do just enough to kind of avoid it, keep it standing, and just eventually get the let me see if I'm going to commit to that finish. KO TKO, that's not bad. Plus 165, decisions plus 300. Am I getting something good if I double up on that? Because I think he could get the sub. I'm just not as confident there.
Let's see.
And Erosa doesn't really seem like a sloppy, shoot a takedown guy. He'll also try to stand and bang with you.
Right. The double KO subs plus 120.
Okay. I'm going to go. What about KO decision?
KO decision minus 150.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go money line again because Erosa is a tough guy, but man, screw it. I'll say KO TKO. That left leg high kick just. It's right there, man. And don't get me wrong. Once again, to also illustrate how I've been wrong before, I didn't think Bilal Muhammad would fix his susceptibility to it against Leon Edwards, and he did. So Fighters can change, but I'd rather not take that risk, right? Old habits die hard. So it takes a And I know Erosa probably knows it. I know his team probably knows it, his coaches, but old habits die hard, man. I'm willing to take that risk.
Yeah. Yep. So you're taking him KO TKO plus 165. And, this is just why this card's so tricky. We both see this fight and these fighters very similarly, but we're on opposite sides of it. It's just that little, how does the grappling go? You think he might have the defense. I think he might have the sub edge and be able to sink it in. And that little tiny difference right there is enough to, I was on completely opposite ends, but that's how betting works. Take away the third fight, man.
Yeah, so third fight we have, this is another very exciting fight. This is going to be Dustin Stoltzfus, and then Dustin Stoltzfus is going up against the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. He is introducing the reigning, defending Jolly Fasnaccio of the world. That Jolly Fasnaccio, Nursulton, Ruziboev. So Nursulton, Ruziboev, geez, that's a fucking mouthful. I'm just going to say Ruziboev versus Stoltzfus. Another interesting matchup. I see why people are in on Stoltzfus. Here are my concerns about Stoltzfus. What I noticed from watching the tape on him. Stoltzfus won against Marc-Andre Barrios because he lured him into a firefight. I don't think Stoltzfus can do that with people unless they're willing to play his game. That's like his only avenue to victory is by trying to lure you into a firefight if you're a better striker. I think Nursulton is a way better striker, and hopefully he doesn't engage with that. I don't know why, because I was a Stoltzfus guy since the Contender Series when he got his contract off of Joe Pyfer having that freak arm injury.
Right.
So I've been following him for a while, but man, he's just not really been what I wanted him to be. I don't think he's lived up to his own expectations. He kind of like lost his identity, I feel like, as an American wrestler that was like living in Germany and identifying with his German heritage and all this. And maybe it's like every time he did try to use it, he got discouraged because like he got, subbed by Gerald Mearshart. He got subbed by Rodolfo Vieira. But these are elite level black belts and BJJ, very good MMA grapplers. So there's no shame there. I mean, it just shows that, you're not necessarily at that level with your wrestling that you should be, but it's like he just kind of had that identity crisis. And other than his sub over Punahel Serrano in 2023, he hasn't really tried to use it. Like, Bruno Ferreira managed to get the KO TKO over him. He only won against Barrios because Barrios fell for the trap. He got baited into just having that drunk uncle at the barbecue boxing exchange, and he got chinned, and I just feel like that's luck. Another thing that worries me is, like, I don't know how this happened, but, like, Stoltzfus threw a calf kick that somehow also kind of spun Barrios completely around and led to him being on top of Barrios. I don't know how in the hell a calf kick made the man do a complete 180, but it did. I don't think he gets that off against Nursulton to make him do a complete 180.
No.
He also has a lot of success striking against guys that shell up like Vieira. Like he was unloading against Vieira until Vieira and the grappling exchanges started, but it's just because Vieira just did the hands up, just shell up approach. Nursulton's not going to do that. I don't think that's him. My concerns, though, about Nursulton, he looked bad against Buckley on the ground. And this is starting to be just like my general issues with Nursulton is he looked bad because he gets really reckless. Like his strengths are that he's a dynamic striker. He's tall. He's rangy for the weight class. He has a good reach. He's very explosive. He's got the dexterity that I talked about with like Valentina and Manon with the kicks and like the hip dexterity and everything. But his biggest issues are he gets really reckless. And like on the regional scene, he also had a bad habit, and this kind of played a role in that Buckley loss of he's way too content when he gets reckless. Like he got taken down by Buckley and controlled because he was dying to get a knee. He was just absolutely obsessed with like an intercepting knee to try to get the knockout on Buckley. And he just never timed it right. And it just resulted in him being taken down. But I'm trying to give him some grace because that was his first loss since December 2019, his first loss in the UFC. And he's been very impressive thus far. My main concern is just I'm gambling that he knows that that was a problem against Buckley, that he knows that he got too reckless, that he tried too desperately to get that knee, that he's making smart decisions now. Because when he does grapple on the regional scene, I was impressed. Like, on the regional scene, he was a monster with Kimuras. Really good at snatching up Kimuras. It's a very hard submission to get in MMA, let alone in the UFC. It's very rare in the UFC, so I don't think it's going to have that same success rate, but maybe against Stoltzfus it could, because Stoltzfus just doesn't have that awareness of his positioning. He's kind of like that very raw wrestler that can just get caught in subs because they're just so worried about like everything from a wrestling standpoint.
Right.
And how it feels when you're wrestling, that he forgets that you can get subbed, it feels like to me. But yeah, he's just going to have to control the pace of the round. Nursulton's just going to have to really just try to not be reckless, just use that height, use that reach, pick them apart, piece them up. Another thing that made me very optimistic is Stoltzfus was obsessed on the regional scene with throwing this left leg body kick against some guy on the regional scene. And I don't know why, because he telegraphed it terribly and he threw it 3 times in a row. And I want to point that out because that leads me to think Nursulton was able to get a finish over Bruno Ferreira by catching a kick that Ferreira threw and just going right over the top and putting his lights out. So if Stoltzfus is still kind of like trying to throw body kicks like that, and that's, once again, one of those habits that's hard to break if you think it's working and you've done it so much in real fights, you've done it so much in training. I think if he does that, it's a bad night. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is if Stoltzfus comes out in a singlet and he starts to try to get back to those wrestling roots. I'm a little worried that, as I've said, Nursulton's just a little too content to accept bottom. He's a little too reckless to just try to hunt for Kimuras, try to hunt for these low percentage subs, and he could just end up in a situation like he did against Buckley where he's losing on the scorecards because he kind of looked lost at times against Buckley. But I'm going to chalk that up to Buckley's a strong guy. I'm assuming Stoltzfus is also a strong guy. But I'm going to say Nursulton learned from that, and he's not going to be that careless. He's going to be very smart. He's going to scramble, and he's going to get back to his feet, and he's got the best chance keeping this striking and just picking apart Stoltzfus. As far as the betting odds and everything on this, to kind of finish up my argument here, it depends on what I'm getting it at, because I think Stoltzfus is a pretty big dog. Yeah, he's plus 245. Ruziboev's minus 305. I don't blame people for seeing that plus 245 with how suspect and reckless Ruziboev's been, and that Buckley loss kind of tainting things. And if you don't believe, like I do, that he learned from that, I don't sneeze at taking Stoltzfus money line. But yeah, you're getting KO TKO from Nursulton at minus 135, sub plus 500. That's maybe I'll come back to that. Decision plus 600, that's a bit crazy. I could see maybe a decision, but I don't know. I might come back to that, but for now, I'm staying on money line for Ruziboev. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much, really. I think of it the exact same way as you do. Nursulton, I liked him by finish, KO or sub, but double meth is minus 200. So it's like you want to get 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. It's like, it's just all terrible. The payout's going to be terrible no matter what. So I'd rather just eat the minus 305 and still have that decision there just in case. So I'm with you, and everybody's with you on this fight. 93% of the bets, 88% of the money. So it's all pouring in on him. Minus 305. I'm a little surprised it's not higher. But Nursulton, and I was a little skeptical of him for a while, but I'm not going to hold that Buckley loss against him either, because I think Buckley's one of the best in the division right now. Like, Buckley's just on a tear. So I'm going to give him a pass. I'm going to give him a pass for Buckley and say, you know what? The dude's been a monster. I'm going to give this one to him. I'm going to give it to Ruziboev too. Let's talk about this fourth fight, which one fact changed me completely off of this fighter. We have Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. And if you've been watching us for a while, I mean, we like ourselves some Bear Jew, and I had some pretty choice words for Rodolfo Bellato. He made me eat my words. He won the fight that I picked against him, but Man, I am just so not sold on this guy. Still, he looks like he gets so gassed. He did I mean, I guess it was a draw. So we lost money on it, but he didn't lose. He didn't win, but we didn't win either because it was a draw. But he looked terrible against Ihor Peteria, totally gassed out, wasn't able to finish him, won a nasty split decision against Cut Poteria. And then has a draw in his last fight. This is just horrible. He just doesn't look good. He gets rocked, and all he has is his punches. Paul Craig, I'm like, man, Paul Craig at these odds is insane. Almost 4-1 odds. If this fight goes to the ground, Craig absolutely has grappling edge. I think he can submit Bellato. Like, I was all over Craig. Bobby, I was wondering why this fight felt off to me, though. I'm like, man, Bellato is just such a big guy and punches so hard. I'm surprised him and Craig match up. That's because this fight's at light heavyweight. This is a 205 fight, and Craig's used to fighting at 185. So he's coming up 15 pounds.
He's bounced around a lot. He's bounced around. He's had so many stints back and forth.
This makes me nervous, though. This one right here, especially because as he's like aging, age does not do well for you. Also, I think I said 15. That is 20 pounds. I apologize. 185 to 205. But I'm scared now, dude. That's scary because I think Bellato is just a huge dude already. And it's like if he's coming down to 205 and Craig's not going to have to cut for 205. Craig's just going to walk in and be 205. Bellato, if he's coming down, I just think he's going to be a lot bigger than Craig. And so for that reason, I'm going to go Bellato by KO. And I hate it. I was really on Craig up until I saw that this was a light heavyweight fight. It completely switched me. Maybe you see it differently, though. What do you think?
This is once again another one that's very, very dangerous to try to gamble on. But I mean, here's what I've noticed. Yeah, Paul Craig don't engage in his guard. He pulls you in like a spider trying to get an insect into the web. He makes you. At one point, I thought that when I was watching his fights, like his grappling sequences, I straight up thought that I slowed the playback speed down. Dude, it is insane how slow he is because even once I did speed it up to like 1.5 times faster, I don't know whether it was my internet. My internet is crap. I don't know, but like it was just wild. But the thing that concerns me is Bellato finished a guy, and I got to look his name up on the regional scene. It started with an M. Maceros. Bellato finished Maceros because Maceros shot a sloppy takedown. So that made me think, damn, maybe he's going to finish Paul Craig if Paul Craig shoots a sloppy takedown. Here's the problem, though. When Bellato himself gets rocked, he shoots. That's how he almost lost that Peteria fight. Peteria rocked him, so he shot, and then he got reversed by Peteria. That's very dangerous against Paul Craig. I know Paul Craig isn't exactly a guy like known for his power compared to his BJJ, but dude, if Peteria can, I'm trying not to do MMA math. I'm trying to listen to my own advice, but dude, Peteria just stunned that man. I know. And it's not like Paul Craig's like a weakling. He does have decent enough power himself. I mean, he TKO'd the shell of Shogun in 2020, and that was his last TKO. I get it, but it's just interesting, man, because I feel like if it does happen, though, that he could just get sloppy and shoot, and then that's playing right into Paul Craig what he wants. Bellato loves knees. What's up?
Craig lost to Bo Nickel in a striking fight, though.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's
I get
concerning.
It. I get it. But Bellato also loves knees. Craig intercepted Ankalaev's knee after getting rocked. So even if, like, Paul Craig gets rocked, right? Ankalaev tried to finish him up with another knee. Paul Craig actually had the wherewithal to intercept that knee, catch it, and then that's how he subbed Ankalaev with, like, a minute left. Gives me a little bit of hope there because Paul Craig uses knees to create grappling situations where the man just has an insane guard. Like, he's one of the few guys still left in MMA that subs you off their back consistently. It's just wild. Bellato used knees against Poteria. He used them against Macero. He also used them against another guy that started with an N, all these weirdos on the regional scene. I forget his name, but the point is the dude loves knees. He also used them against Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's another guy who trains with Craig Jones, like JDM, and is part of that like Australia, New Zealand little connection in BJJ. And he, ended up in a draw with Jimmy Crute. So I'm just kind of worried. Those knees are the biggest factor in this fight. Does he use the knee to get the finish? Does the knee result in him getting finished? I don't know. I'm not sold on either one of these guys. This is a disgusting fight. It's a rare example of good matchmaking because they're both guys who, like, if Paul Craig loses, he said it himself, he's going to get cut. Another X factor. Is that motivational? Like, when your job's on the line, do you face the pressure head on or do you crumble? We're going to find out. So another X factor is Craig's fighting for his job. I think Bellato could be fighting for his job too. He's definitely fighting mediocrity.
Yeah.
And just when you have two mediocre fighters going up against each other, that's why the huge odds discrepancies just don't jive with me. Like, I can see why Bo Nickel was a huge favorite. I don't see why Bellato is, though. I just don't see it. You only got 26% of bets on Craig, minus 500 for Bellato, a guy who himself isn't looking impressive, plus 380 for Paul Craig. It's disgusting, but I can't pass it up because, yeah, I could easily see him just getting rocked and just getting cut and just being done with the UFC, and it ends terribly, but I don't want to put my money on Bellato at minus 500. I just can't justify that. I just simply can't. For now, I'm going to roll with Paul Craig money line at plus 380. I might come back because Paul Craig subs at plus 800. That could be another two haymaker play episode. We'll see.
Yeah, I love that for a haymaker. I love that. I agree with you. I don't think there's any world where Bellato should be a minus 500 against anybody. Anybody. Right. Including Prepelec, which shout out to Prepelec for liking and commenting on our TikTok video about him. So shout out to him. I hate that he lost, but hopefully he has another fight in the UFC. We get to see him again. Bobby said 26% of the bets on Paul Craig. A lot of sharp money. 73% of the money is on Paul Craig.
I'm willing to take that risk, man.
Yeah. Hey, Vegas is going to hate you if you win.
Yeah.
Vegas is going to hate you, baby. All right. Bobby, take this main card away, man.
Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. Another old guy fight, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the only thing in my research that's going up against Gilbert Burns is he's 37, right? We talked about the over 35 curse. Welterweight's one of those divisions. It struck again last week with JDM. I don't get Michael Morales. And here's why I don't get Michael Morales, because this is another lopsided thing that I just can't justify in my head, because the only thing is the age and the height and reach. Here's where I can negate the height and reach. I can't negate the age, right? Some people are thinking Gilbert Burns is coming into this fight a lot more dedicated. They're talking about he looks leaner. It's hard to tell, but yeah, he looks like he has a little bit more ab definition. I'll give him that. Talked about Paul Craig, right? Paul Craig was like, man, I'm fighting for my job. If I get cut, this is over with. Is that going to help him? Is it going to hurt him? Very concerned. Gilbert Burns did an interview recently where he's talking about, he's wondering how much more time he has left. He's a little bit depressed because he's been losing some heartbreaking fights. A little concerning, but once again, are you going to use that to get back on track? Is that going to motivate you, or are you just going to feel sorry for yourself and lose? I don't know. Those are things that are going against him, but when you're getting Gilbert Burns at a plus 575 and Morales at a minus 850, and you got only 38% of bets on Burns and 62% on Morales, all I can do is just give you the best case I can based off the tape I've watched for why I think Gilbert Burns gets it done, and this is egregious. I've told you why I think he has things going against him. The age and the height and reach, maybe questionable headspace. But, dude, Michael Morales stands so tall.
Yes.
So tall. No way he retracts his leg in time to get taken down. Everybody he's fought, damn near everybody he's fought in the UFC has taken him down. Let's just read off everybody that's taken him down, because almost everybody has, and that's what's crazy to me is he's getting taken down by everybody. This isn't MMA math. This is a consistent theme. Neil Magny and the Neil Magny fight, this is what I saw. I saw Michael Morales get very damn lucky spinning off the cage and catching Neil Magny with a spinning back elbow. And I think that has more to do with Neil Magny just unfortunately being a shell of himself than it does Michael Morales being good. Because Neil Magny was doing everything right in that fight. And shout out to Neil Magny. I respect him. He's a grizzled old vet. He just got caught. It was a very shitty situation. He just got caught. But he was just controlling that man up against the clinch. And once again, I don't roll with Neil Magny. I don't feel the man up. But I'm willing to bet Gilbert Burns is probably a lot stronger and a lot more muscular than Neil Magny. And if one Neil Magny can hold you up against a fence, I shudder to think about what would happen to my bussy if two Gilbert Burns had their way with me up against the cage. All right? Like, Adam Fugit took him down easily. Trevin Giles had success. Varin Tikhonov in the Contender Series had success in the clinch and taking him down. I just don't see a guy, even in his most recent fights, who knows what to do in the clinch. Up against Magny, he honestly looked lost. He didn't really try to pummel. He actually gave his back up to Magny. Instead of trying to pummel, he immediately got up to the cage with his back fully exposed. Do that to Gilbert Burns. Do that to an ADCC champion black belt at the highest level of BJJ grappling. Give your back up against the cage to Gilbert Burns. Please. Please do that. Because Neil Magny, once again, just an illustration of how far gone he is, could not capitalize on a fully exposed back in a clinch situation up against the cage. And then Michael Morales looked like he never had pummeled from a day one MMA gym intro class. Just kind of was just more than content to just stay there. And just like I said, got lucky, did a Crash Bandicoot spin. It resulted in a back elbow and managed to finally get on top. But other than that, he was handily on the way to cruising to a decision loss easily. Just so lost. It was just stupid. And that is just, we know that's not Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, pressure fighter, double leg, single leg, get you up against the cage. Michael Morales always ends up against the cage. He's one of those fighters that doesn't have spatial awareness and finds himself backed up there with a little bit of pressure. That's going to be the best avenue to winning for Gilbert Burns. That's also going to be the most dangerous, is the only problem is, if he's coming in, he could get countered, but he just needs to be smart. He needs to keep his chin down. He needs to bite down the mouthpiece, lead with the strikes, some 1-2s, pressure through, explosive double leg. Before you know it, Michael Morales has already done most of the work for you. He's already got himself trapped up against the cage, and then from there, it's easy for you to do whatever you want. Because like I said, can he magically learn what to do in the clinch and start, pummeling, digging for underhooks, trying to reverse without exposing his back? Sure, he could, but I don't want to risk an old dog learning a new trick right now. He's young enough to learn. Old habits die hard. Once again, we'll see if it's fixed. Bilal Muhammad's fixed things. I don't think this guy's a Bilal Muhammad. I don't think he's that smart right now. I think he's too young, and I think he's gassed up off his own hype. Another thing I want to point out, shout out to Crazy Kev MMA for this. Let me see if I can pull up the picture. Here it is. So Crazy Kev MMA, betting $100 on the undefeated fighters after UFC 315 would leave you at a negative $1,558.15. However, betting $100 against undefeated fighters in 2025 after UFC 315, you'd profit $3,013.96. We've really seen undefeated fighters lose their undefeated streak in this year. Peyton Talbot, one that immediately pops off the top of my head. Very notorious example there, right? Peyton Talbot. Who else was it that just recently lost that? Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel just lost it. Heavy favorite, right? These individuals, heavy favorites. Michael Morales is undefeated. Good for him. I don't think it's going to age as well as like an Ilya Taporia is undefeated. I just, there's too many red flags. That's just what's throwing me off. Is just when you stand so tall, when everybody that's fought you has been able to clinch with you and control you until like you get like just a shot. And Gilbert Burns himself has heavy hands. He's never like the most, technically savant guy, but he's got heavy hands himself. He rocked Usman, one of the few people to rock Usman, gave, Khamzat a hell of a fight. Khamzat's hardest fight was against Gilbert Burns, almost won the JDM fight. I don't think that was luck. I think JDM just perfectly timed that knee. It was a perfect counter. I don't think Morales gets lucky. I don't think he gets lucky. I think he's in for a long night. I think he's going to get careless. He's going to get pressured. Gilbert Burns is going to come forward. Gilbert Burns is going to eat the shot. His chin's going to hold up. He's got something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he gets it done. And, man, at plus 575, I'm just rolling money line. Maybe I'll come back to it. I mean, you can get Gilbert Burns sub at plus 1,400. Come on. Come on, man. I get it seems like a long shot, but come on, that height and reach doesn't matter when you got a well-oiled Brazilian on top of you, bro. PG-13. I'm trying not to get too X-rated, but use your imagination.
I think we need to call our friends over at DraftKings, Bobby. I think someone's asleep. Someone fell asleep on this one.
We're going to like start getting an alarm clock sound or something for this, man.
We need to, man, because I'm right there with you. And you know what? I need to tell the people, too. Me and Bobby, we don't usually talk about fights beforehand, but this card, we were trying to figure out which fight we wanted to do. And we were talking a little bit about this one, and I was like, man, he was telling me that he liked Burns, and I was like, I think I'm on Morales here, man. He's so much younger. There's such a reach advantage, man. And then I did my research. It's a very important part. People don't like doing that part. That part takes some time. So, striking accuracy, striking defense, Bobby, you think Morales is like the striker guy? Completely even on both sides. The exact same percentage.
That is shocking.
Both 48% strike accuracy, 52% strike defense.
I need to start printing this off in front of me, because that's another thing, folks. I do this without this in front of me. You have it and I don't. So I'm kind of going blind, and that's on me. That's my fault. But that is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then like it's showing that Morales is a better takedown, accuracy, and defense. Okay, but who is Morales fought? Come on. Right. 92% takedown defense. Bobby just told you all the guys that took him down. Burns, though. Dude, he's on a losing streak, bro. Burns is cooked, man. Burns hasn't won since, what is this, 2023, bro? Burns is cooked. He's only fought Bilal Muhammad, who was champion. JDM, who just beat him. Yeah, and he got injured.
He was going to win that fight, and he was coasting until a takedown attempt. I think he broke his arm or something like that, like messed himself up. So, very competitive up until that freak injury.
Right. At JDM, Bobby just said it, and we think very highly of JDM. And now JDM is undisputed champion of the world. And then he lost to Sean Brady, who I would say probably, top 3 contender? Would you say that's probably accurate?
Yeah, and he lost that one because Sean Brady was able to negate the grappling. I don't think Michael Morales is going to do that. Brady was surprisingly very strong and very good at mitigating the grappling.
Right. And then you look back, if we're doing just the last 5, beat Jorge Masvidal. Not anything massive. Not super great. Not terrible, but people know Jorge. Good striker. And he beat
with poor takedown defense.
You're right. He beat Mr. Neil Magny. Neil Magny, first round sub. So who is giving us Gilbert Burns by sub at plus 1,400? I want to talk you know what? They're giving away $200 in bonus bets when people just deposit $5 from the link in our description or using code BetterGreen. But Bobby, they're giving away more than that. They're just giving away money.
Yeah, at this point.
That's insane. So I'm going to be with you also on the Gilbert Burns money line. But that submission, bro, that's looking nice. Morales, I'm out, man. These young undefeated fighters are not doing it this year. And I think that trend continues, bro. I really do.
I think this definitely could be a fight where instead of the young bull, I think they get the old bull by the wiener and they say, come here. For sure.
All right, Bobby. Give the people the haymaker. Now, it's hard to fit 2 on there, sir. So I don't know if you want to pick 1 or stick to 2. We can't do 3. We can't do 3 now, especially when we're dipping into 4-digit odds.
Oh, that's craziness. We love the fans, though. We love the fans, so we always try to give the fans some cool stuff here.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Let me double check everything right quick. That's what I'm doing right now. There's nothing too crazy about the Costa fight, and that one kind of scares me because Erosa is a dog, but I'm not really getting odds that are too crazy. I mean, all these fights scare me. Once again, I'm going to keep saying that. This is a scary card, but I just don't feel in my plums about that fight like I do some of these others. And you're not really getting anything crazy on Ruziboev.
Definitely
Ruziboev subs tempting, but I'm trying not to get too crazy because Kimuras are just hard to get in the UFC. And I don't want to take that risk of like, okay, he's on bottom trying to get a Kimura. Because if he's on bottom against Stoltzfus, I think he's going to lose. So even though Stoltzfus doesn't have an awareness of where his limbs are, that's just too much for me. Because I don't think Stoltzfus Ruziboev decision's tantalizing at +6. Stoltzfus is a tough guy. I could see a world where he doesn't get finished. And he does get taken to decision and loses decision. Gordon Moises, another one that's too iffy for me.
Yeah.
It's too scary. I'm just a little guy. I got to do double, man. I feel like I got to do double.
All right. You can do double if you need to do double.
At least one last time, man. I'm a crackhead.
Just no triples.
No triples.
Just one last hit.
If I do a triple, I'll just post out maybe like Ruziboev decision on Twitter or something. So follow Twitter if I get froggy.
Perfect.
I gotta go Craig sub at +8. So we're already doing Paul Craig money line. So we're double dipping on Craig. But I like that Craig sub at +8. And I like Scotland. So I hope my Scottish boy rides off into the sunset. Yes. I hope he wins this fight. UFC tries to bait him into taking another contract that's stupid that he won't be able to fight his way off of, and he gives Dana a big fat Scottish middle finger and says, "You can take me contract, but you won't take me freedom." And then he just retires to sunny Scotland and just lives the rest of his life great. So, Paul Craig, please get that sub. Please retire. Don't sign another contract and get trapped. Enjoy your life, bud. Go do some IBJJF whatever tournaments and European Opens and just chill, bro. So that one, and then, dude, everything with Burns is just, God, maybe I'm going to have to do a quad. I'm going to have to do a quad on Twitter, bro. Quad stacker, four-wheeling. I'm going to go, God, just giving up your back like that up against the fence to a well-oiled Brazilian.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah, Burns sub +14. So doubles. So
let's do it.
Once again, double dipping on Burns. We're both on the money line and the sub.
Yes.
It's either going to end really well or really badly. Tune in next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, right. Also, make sure you guys are following us on all of our social medias. We did post a parlay. I believe it's like +3,000. Courtesy of Shitty Cat DFS. So, Cat, thank you again for watching, being a friend of the show. We do want to get you back on sometime, so we will have you on when we get to like a pretty decent card. We don't want to get you on for some garbage fight night. But looking forward to that. We're going to also have a video with MMA Judge Analyzer coming out to talk about this whole judging product that he has. We're very excited for that. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. We'll post probably, I'm going to try to do like parlays for every card too. We'll see. We try to give them some fun names. You know, if they hit, great. If not, whatever. It's just something fun to do. If you guys have an extra $1 free bet, whatever, throw it on there, have some fun with it. So we'll see you guys on the next card. And then I guess if that video doesn't get out on time, have a happy Memorial Day, everybody. Peace, guys.
Peace.